Warning, this podcast, website, and associated social media accounts are intended for audiences of legal drinking age. We do not advocate overconsumption or the abuse of alcohol. Never drink and drive, drink responsibly. And please remember to always take what we say with a grain of salt. After all, we are just some dudes with some brews.
This is kind of a fun story I want to share with you. It's got a really cool label.
Love it.
This is a beer called Nightwitch.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's got like a shadow walker shaman on it. But this is, the picture is like a shaman, but it's this. She's got a staff. It's wrapped in barbed wire, and it's got a wolf head with the antlers, which obviously the homage to Denton County. But my son lives in the Pacific Northwest, and he's a Texan, and he calls himself the Lone Wolf. And he does a radio station. He's in a heavy metal band.
Love it.
He does, a lot of art stuff with barbed wire, and so that was kind of an homage to him. And there's some, if you get the can, there's a lot of Easter eggs in the clouds that you'll have to check out. There's some stuff that's pretty funny. But so this beer is called Nightwitch. Okay. It's a Russian Imperial Stout, and I'll try to keep the story kind of short, but it's really fascinating. So I'm a history nerd as well as a beer nerd. Bad combination, but it's cool just because the Nightwitches is a real story. Mm-hmm. The Nightwitches actually were from World War II, and they were so if you look at the Eastern European theater, when the Germans and the Russians were battling, the Germans had the upper hand and they were winning, and so the Russians said, we need to do anything possible to try to win. So they found 400 women. They brought them in, taught them how to fly within a couple of months. They gave them a bunch of old planes from World War I. They were training planes. They literally put them back together with cardboard and canvas. Plywood and canvas, and just to keep them strapped together. Yeah. But the planes were so slow, they were noisy, they didn't have any artillery where they could defend themselves. So they taught them how to fly in a few months. They'd strap bombs to them. They would only do missions or sorties at night. They would fly over into Germany. But since the planes were so slow and loud, they'd fly in really high. They'd cut off the engines. They would coast down to their target, drop the bombs, turn the engines on, and take off again. They were massively successful. They dropped over 30,000 bombs, had a huge turn in the tide of helping win the war, but it was actually the Germans that nicknamed them the Nightwitches, because they started creating this fear because they never knew when they were going to come. For sure. But they said since the engines were off, all they heard, and they would fly really low, it'd come down, all they heard was this like swoosh sound. It sounded like brooms, like sweeping brooms in the sky. So the Germans called them the Nightwitches, but the Nightwitches were massively effective. The Nightwitches from Russia are still the most decorated Russian pilots in Russian history.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they are the most highly acclaimed and highly decorated still, but nobody hears about them.
Right.
So we release this beer on Halloween every year, and it's 16%. Okay. It's super smooth. It is a barrel-aged Imperial Stout, but just like the Nightwitches snuck up on the Germans, we say this beer it's super smooth. It'll sneak up on you and fuck you up. Yeah. So just like the Nightwitches did.
That's the way to do it right there, my man.
So that's the story. So cheers. Yeah, nice 16% barrel-aged Imperial Stout.
Appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode of Dudes and Brews. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform you're on, we're on there. We have a YouTube channel, Dudes and Brews. We would love if you would subscribe there as well. If you are subscribed and you want to help us out just a little more, unsubscribe and resubscribe again. It sounds funny and stupid and kind of obnoxious, all of the subscribing and resubscribing and stuff, but it helps in these little algorithms games for like climbing the charts, because again, we are organic and we are where we are because of you guys.
Yeah, we really do appreciate your support. Shout us out. We really do love it when you guys interact with us, when you add us, mention us, put us on your stories, tag us, all that fun stuff, all the stuff the kids are doing. We like grabbing that stuff and we put it up for you guys. So we appreciate you so much. Keep having fun, drinking them brews, hanging with them dudes. Tune in next week for another episode of Dudes and Brews.